Hello, everyone. I'm Abby Ashola. You're watching Urban U, and I'm reporting virtually from Hunter College.
Hey, Abby. Good to see you.
Hi, Ari.
I'm Ari Goldberg, as Abby just said, and I'm also virtually hosting from virtual Lehman College. And today we have some informative stories for you, but probably more importantly these days, some uplifting stories for you. From the amazing work CUNY is doing with the Census to a terrace marathon runner and plenty more. But first,
this year, the CUNY School of Medicine graduated its inaugural class, but because of the COVID-19 outbreak, graduates went straight to work on the front lines fighting this devastating disease. Andrew Falzone spoke to two of CUNY's first MD graduates.
Tell me about where you're working and what it is you're doing there.
I'm working at Staten Island University Hospital, which is part of the Northwell Hospital system. I'm working as an intern level physician. So I carry my own patients, mainly on a COVID unit. I take care of them. So that includes, obviously checking on them every day, ordering all their tests, doing all their notes, making sure they're getting the care that they need. And honestly, whatever they need me to do for them is what I do.
Right now, I'm at Mount Sinai South Nassau Communities Hospital. My official title right now is scribe. I will be starting my residency in family medicine in July. Currently, I'm working on a COVID floor in the hospital. So what I do is attend rounds, which is in the morning we have huddles and we discuss all the patients, and we basically then in the electronic medical record write the updates on the patient and the changes to the plan that the attending wanted.
What's it been like for you transitioning from really an academic environment into a very hands-on real life situation?
Like almost all other New York medical schools, we were given permission to graduate early as long as we have fulfilled all of our requirements. I personally chose to serve at my future residency program, and they offered this scribe position, which I thought was nice because it's a good way to get exposure to the floor and to the people and still have medical interaction without the full responsibility of a resident yet.
When you're an academic, especially in medical school, they make things seem very concrete and, this is a pathology, this is the physiology behind it, these are the medications you give, this is what you can expect to see. When we're taking care of COVID patients, honestly, it's, one day it's hydroxychloroquine and the next day that's completely, out the door.
If you could just paint a picture for someone from the outside looking in, what does a COVID floor look like, feel like, sound like?
I could give the perspective of a COVID floor, a critical care COVID floor. To me, there's a lot of activity because the nurses are working very, very hard. They're having to handle more patients than they normally would. On a critical care floor, patient to nurse ratio is 2-to-1. And now, because how overwhelmed everyone is, it's 4-to-1 in some cases. But they're still taking just the same care of the patients. And it's really incredible to see, And so there's a lot of movement in things, and there's a lot of change. Change happens all the time, whether for the better or the worse.
Do you feel like you're at risk, or do you, feel like, the catching the disease isn't something you're worried about on a day in, day out basis?
Well, personally, that question hits home for me because I did end up getting sick with COVID. Thankfully, I've been okay, and I've had a very mild course compared to what my patients are going through and what other colleagues have experienced. Initially, I was definitely scared. And then once you're in the game, so to speak, you maybe forget about it or you have bigger priorities that you're not necessarily thinking about it all the time. Every person that's working on the front lines right now is facing that scary reality that they could get sick with COVID.
When you first suspected you were sick, what were your suspicions, or did you just have to get tested and then you found out from the test?
I lost my taste and smell. I realized at lunchtime that day, and that's usually a telltale sign. And I just didn't really feel like myself. So I decided to go get a test because I wasn't actually worried about getting my patient sick. That was highly unlikely considering how much, PPE is between us, but I did not want to get my colleagues sick since I know their work is vital as well. And if, we spend time together at lunch or in the break room and I'm not wearing a mask, I wouldn't want to be getting them sick. So I went and got tested for their sake and my own.
It sounds like compared to some of the folks you may have seen in the hospital, your course of the disease was very mild.
Very, very mild. I was very lucky, thankfully.
In your own career moving forward, what do you think that you'll take with you from this experience?
I think the most important thing to me to take with me is knowing that is reaffirming why I went into medicine, that I wanted to help people, that in good times and in bad, no matter how difficult it gets, that this is a reason, this is a motivator for me to keep going, that I am privileged to have this position right now, you know, in more ways than one, at least to me.
Kameron Heart is a performer, audio engineer, and a student at Baruch College. He brings the best of his skills to entertain and make a living during the COVID-19 crisis. Maria Vami spoke with him.
Some folks like to get away, take a holiday from the neighborhood. Have a flight to Miami Beach or to Hollywood. I decided maybe the people living near me would like to have short live concerts every day, and I can put a GoFundMe up, you know, and they could tip $5 or whatever, like whatever songs they want to hear, and it'd be a way to bring the community together and like a way for me to subsidize paying my bills. I'm in a New York state of mind. It exploded, and within a few days, you know, 40 people were out on their fire escapes and people in their backyards that are like partitioned or dancing. And it was just really wonderful to see how the community was coming together in such trying times.
Oh, you guys are awesome. Yeah.
I feel like now all the neighbors in the backyard that are participating come out, and we all know each other's names, and, you know, we're getting to know each other, their kids, their favorite songs, you know, and, you know, people staying outside after the music ends for a half an hour, socializing safely, but building this community. And I think that's really what has driven it to be as successful as it has been. And I would walk 500 miles and I would walk I'm stressed because I'm like, you know, live streaming it to Facebook and Instagram, and those are like, can be finicky apps. And then I have like drums going, the piano, I have this like vocal processing thing for like reverb, and then I'm recording. So I try to like make it look like a good performance, but I'm stressed out, honestly, because I'm like, if one of these things stops working, I have to stop playing and fix it. I didn't expect people to be nearly as generous as they've been. I was able to raise like $6,000. So, I mean, I wasn't working the last 2 months, so that's been amazingly helpful. I mean, just being a student and working and living in one of the most expensive cities in the world is like a feat. So I commend all my other Baruch students because I know how hard it is, you know.
Sheila, a nurse who's at the hospital of special surgery down at 70th and York. This is for you and your whole department and all the other essential workers. So thank you for everything that you guys are doing. When the night I
think music is especially appropriate right now because it connects us to the humanity, and remember that we're all people trying to survive and make a better world.
No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me.
If you haven't filled it out already, the 2020 census is still waiting for you. And for the first time, it's online. But it's not only the government that's doing the surveying. CUNY, with campuses across the city, is uniquely positioned to drive local efforts and bring about results.
So the census really is one of the oldest and most significant peacetime activities that our country engages in as it pertains to mobilization of resources. So in 1790, the founding fathers decided that they were going to distribute political power and federal funding based on total population count. And so they enshrined that in the Constitution. And ever since then, every 10 years, our nation engages in a total population count. And based on that total population count, that guides how the government is going to spend now over $700 billion every year.
It almost sounds like the census is kind of the tree that all of the branches of service stem from, really.
I think that's a perfect example and a great way to look at it. So one example I often give is if you live in a community of 100 families, and based on the census formula for that year, communities of 100 families should get $1 per child in education services. If only 40 of those families fill out the census, you're only going to get $40 worth of education services.
Lurie Daniel Favors heads up the Center for Law and Social Justice at Medgar Evers College. They've actually been preparing for this census for 3 years already. You see, it's not all the federal government making sure people fill out the census. It takes very mobilized local community efforts to make sure their neighborhoods are accounted for. And across the CUNY schools, the over 260 students who have been trained as the CUNY Census Corps are instrumental in that role.
I would ask you if you know anything about the census. And I see that if you ask like 100 people, most of them, the majority, like you can say 90%, they don't know what is the census. And I always say that now knowledge is power. If you don't know, you can't act. My goal was to educate them. I went to a few mosques, I went to schools, I went to a lot of stores, a lot of beauty salons, all of those things before the lockdown.
Khadija Ka is a Census Corps member from Lehman College, and her experience going door to door is an example of why these local efforts are so important. You see, Ka's an immigrant from Senegal, and she lives in a largely immigrant neighborhood in Pelham Park, Bronx. The Census Bureau refers to these communities, immigrant or racial, ethnic, or religious minority neighborhoods, as hard to count. For reasons from language barriers to racial marginalization to distrust of government, these populations are historically underrepresented in census counts, and therefore in federal resource allocation and political representation. Aiming to fill that gap, CUNY has partnered with the city.
When the city council and the mayor's office put together these funds for distribution to organizations, they had to have a mechanism with which to do that. And that's where CUNY really stepped up and became one of the partners with the city council and the mayor's office, and basically administered, millions of dollars. They did so in a way that was strategic, so that every zip code would have coverage, so that every hard-to-count community would have coverage.
Medgar Evers, for example, with an incredibly diverse student population, is pivotally right in the heart of some of these hard-to-count communities. And this year, CUNY has some new outreach tools at their disposal.
We also have this wonderful mapping project that tracks for us not only the numbers right now, but the numbers as they looked in 2010 and 2000. So that's from the CUNY Graduate School Project. And so we are able to compare data from what we have now as compared to what we had in the past.
Of course, with the COVID-19 lockdown, census takers are going to need all the outreach tools possible, from phone banks to PSAs with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Lin-Manuel Miranda. In fact, the pandemic only makes the work more vital than ever, because these very same hard-to-count populations, the ones who need accurate counting the most, are also tragically often the very communities hardest hit by the coronavirus.
I think as immigrants, we are already underprivileged, and we are already a minority, and we are already vulnerable. You need resources before you can stabilize yourself.
But for all the hurdles, there's great hope.
3, 2, 1, census!
I believe that, what we put out, we can attract. And so I just believe that if we all continue with the same intentions that we had before this all happened, that we can definitely make sure that we get those numbers up. And that's what I'm basing this whole campaign on, because if it weren't for that, it'd be a little more sad. Get those numbers up, people.
Luis Munoz is studying international business at Baruch College. He's also on the men's soccer team. And he just ran a very different kind of marathon, a marathon on his terrace.
I was doing the 9+1, where you run 9 races and you volunteer 1, and then you get an automatic entrance the year after. Since I have family in Spain that are, struggling because the quarantine is mandatory as compared to here, that it's not, it's just recommended. I wanted to let people know here and encourage them to stay home. I think it was mile 18, 19 to 22, 23. That was the worst part, absolutely. I even told my mom, I was like, please come out and cheer me on because I can't do it anymore. It was really hard. When you do achievements, you want your family and your friends to be with you. And the fact that when I finished, it was my family right there at the moment with me. And then we were on FaceTime with my family from Spain. It was really cool to just be with them and celebrate together. Just the fact of finishing a marathon, I think those type of races, it's not about doing it in a good time or finishing first, but more of about not giving up on yourself. When New York Roadrunners heard about my story, they gave me a spot to run on the 2020 marathon. All we're asked is to stay home. I think we can all do that. The real heroes are those who are right now working and going out there risking themselves. So stay home, make the best out of it, be with your family, try new things, as I did. But be sure that you train for it first.
Hunter College alum Sharononna has been fascinated with hand washing long before coronavirus rocked the world. So much so that the simple act of cleanliness has become her go-to theme for her paintings.
So I'm Sharononna, and I am a Hunter MFA alum. I don't know, as long as I can remember, I've been painting. When I was growing up, my parents let me turn the part of the garage into a studio. And I remember having like a studio practice as young as like 14. I would go in there at nighttime after finishing homework and I would paint. So right now I'm a resident at NYU and I'm an intern, which means I'm in my first year of residency and I'm in the psychiatry program. So you rotate through all sorts of different fields, mostly medicine, neurology, and psychiatry. When I was in grad school, I started making paintings about handshakes. So when I started working in the hospital, my first semester of medical school, the next logical step for me was to make paintings of hand washing. And of course, working in a hospital, hand washing is the most ubiquitous hand gesture that you see. You wash your hands every time you go in and out of a room, before you do an exam, after you do an exam. So I've been making them since 2014. In the beginning of medical school, I almost thought it was comical how much we washed our hands, and you go around from room to room and you're putting Purell on your hands between seeing each patient. And so by the end of seeing 30 patients, your hands are just like caked in this layer of gel. And for me, that was funny. So the painting started as more of like this lighthearted thing. I think now hand washing, I guess it always was a matter of life or death. I never thought of it that way. And now it seems much darker and much more essential, though of course it's always been essential. So I think that's how it's changed for me during the current epidemic. Each time you wash your hands, there's something a little different. The light is a little different. Your emotion's a little different. The context is different. For me, this ritual of making hand washing paintings mirrored that. Each time I'm in a different mood when I make the painting, color palette changes, the scale changes a little bit. It's also one of those motions that is done in the hospital and it has a different meaning in the hospital, and it's also done at home and it has different meanings at home. Before this pandemic, it took on more like domestic meanings. And now, of course, all those different realms are blending together. It always takes me a little bit of time to digest what's happening. So the things I'm thinking about right now and the things that I think many other people are thinking about are all these different mechanisms of separating people. In the hospital, it's called personal protective equipment. So like masks and gowns and gloves and booties and goggles. And for everyone else, it's cloth masks or staying 6 feet apart and these sort of like barriers. And those are different things that I'm starting to explore right now.
At the CUNY Graduate Center, a pair of CUNY professors are dedicated to fact-checking the science in all the science fiction. Mike Gilliam explains.
You can find it in a world gone to waste and ruin as depicted in many popular video games. Or in most movies from Marvel Studios, where ordinary men and women harness extraordinary superpower. But how accurate is the technology behind these fantastic flights of fancy? Refining the science of science fiction is the goal of this pair of PhD professors from Queens College/CUNY. Marrel Tajirian and Sebastian Alvarado share between them 3 children, a mutual love of science, and this book, The Science of Marvel.
That was a book that specifically looks at all the science behind the fiction of Marvel and the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Sebastian studies molecular ecology and neuroscience, while Marrel, also a neuroscientist, cut her teeth role-playing on Fallout 3, a video game set in a devastated landscape. She was hooked from the start, but with reservation.
For us, it started with video games. You know, if I pay $60 to purchase a video game, I'm really insulted when, you know, they paid attention to everything except for the science. So I'm like, oh, come on, this makes no sense. Why couldn't they have fixed this? And that's how Thwack was born, in fact, because we wanted to fix that. That was a real problem.
The pair founded Thwack Consulting, a multidisciplinary think tank, in 2012 in order to deliver quality science that enhances both story and gameplay dynamics. Their unique insight makes those science fiction worlds more grounded in actual science.
The Marvel X-Men team, that features like mutant genes forming the basis of incredible powers and all of that. Is that plausible?
Humans being mutated and getting superpowers? Well, not very likely. Could happen. Mutations cause all kinds of things. Most of the time, bad things.
I think people really like to suspend their disbelief a little bit more when they think that there's some sort of plausibility.
So what makes Hawkeye such a good archer?
See, the fun thing about Hawkeye and writing about him in the book is that there was no fiction. It was just really all about, you know, hand-eye coordination, how our brains process visual information. That and also the Daredevil parts, because again, Daredevil doesn't have special powers or anything like that, but because he's blind, there are other ways in which his brain is kind of compensated.
Laboratories always appear to be dark and mysterious looking in movies, but what are they like in the real world?
That's actually been a really fun aspect of the services that we provide with Thwack. Labs are the one thing that a lot of people have a general idea of what they look like, but have never really visited one. The best thing you can do is take somebody to a lab. We've done that with a lot of our clients, and they've always been super grateful. Now we do 360 tours. We take 360 cameras. We take them to different types of labs facilities, and that expands the, you know, what a scene can look like.
What is it like to live together, work together on these projects, all of it together?
Well, we've been together 12 years now. We've done everything together. We love this. It's like going on a date each day when you go to work.
We have offices right next to each other. We share a lab. We get to have lunch together. We have coffee breaks together. And we even reprimand our students together in the same office. And we bring the kids to work too. So when they get tired of my office, they go to her office. And when they get tired of her office.
Now, the couple is hard at work on their next project. All I can tell you is that it's a big-time, top-secret video game. More info to come. I'm Mike Gilliam for Urban U. Now, for some of that sci-fi action. Hey, producers, beam me up.
That's our show for this month. We leave you with another song from Kameron Heart.
And as always, for more information on any of our stories, come check out our social media pages or come to our website at tv.cuny.edu. Hope you're all safe and hanging in there, everybody.
See you next month. Bye.
Bye.
Listen, baby, oh, now. Ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby. If you need me coming, no matter where you are, no matter how far, don't worry, baby. Just call my name, I'm there in a hurry. Don't have to worry, 'cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough. remember the day, oh, I set you free. Told you you could always count on me, darling. That day on, I made a vow. I'll be there when you want me, some way, somehow.